Hey guys, it's Josephine Hine, and today we're on episode 6 of Life of an Athlete, and I am with
Coach Ray Witt.
who is a track and basketball coach, high school coach specifically, and today we're going to talk about some in-depth information of his journey of being a coach. So where exactly did you start as an athlete? Like, was it a specific sport you started at or school? Like, what activated your love of being an athlete?
I started playing basketball as a young guy, just in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Later on, played organized basketball. Met a friend of mine whose dad happened to be a coach, a basketball coach specifically, and started playing basketball organized. Fell in love with it. My friends played it, so I played it.
Yeah.
Eventually began running track. Fell in love with that because I was fast as a kid, and that kind of led to other things.
And so what for you, like, what was the difference of, like, basketball and track when you were younger? Like, did you prioritize one over the other, or, like, was there one that, you know, you loved a little bit more than the other?
Well, for me as a kid, you try to lean towards the things that you're good at.
Right.
I was fast.
Mm-hmm.
I was fast as a kid. So I looked at the sports that I could play that I could benefit using speed.
Yeah.
One was football. I played football also.
Okay.
Was a wide receiver and a defensive back. But I was just small, skinny. I wasn't as tall as I am now.
Right.
I didn't grow until my sophomore, junior year in high school. But I played football because I could run fast and beat guys. Then track, obviously, it's not dependent on a team sport. It's an individual sport.
Right.
The faster you are, the better you are. And then basketball, the quicker you can get by a guy or defend a guy, you were successful at it. But that's how it's spotted my speed.
Right. And do you feel like playing all these different sports, not just being specific towards one, has made you more, like, versatile in different, like, components of, like, being an athlete? Because, you know, football, like, the game of football works a little bit more different than basketball, which is fast paced.
Mm-hmm.
And track, you know, whether you're a sprinter, whether you're long distance, it's just, like, more of an individual sport.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, is there one that, like, or do you feel like you've benefited in different ways through all the different sports that you've played, because you've, like, learned a lot of different, like, components of doing it?
I do. I think the one sport that affects all sports is track and field.
Yeah.
Because you have to, other than doing some water polo, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, for the most general sports,
Yeah.
if running mechanics are a necessity for, I mean, you name the majority of the sports, baseball, basketball, again, soccer, you name it. And so by being able to understand my body, running mechanics, how to run, how to control my body, a lot of young athletes and now a lot of professional athletes have never been taught how to run. And some don't run properly, and so they're not reaching their maximum potential in terms of being a more effective athlete.
Right.
But track affects everything, speed, everything. The faster you can run now, if you look at it, professional sports, collegiate sports, the faster your 40 time is, the more opportunities you're going to get collegiately for a scholarship. Basketball, it's not so much speed, although it can be a major factor, but it can help with your skill set and being a better offensive player or better defensive player if you're fast. You stay in front of guys or you can get by guys. So it can, I would say speed, running, it's something that affects all of it.
Right. And so how now, like, as being a coach, have you, since you've learned a lot from all these, journeys that you've been on, do you apply the same things into your coaching, like the things that you feel like you could have worked on or you could have been better, or, like, how are you, like, now as a coach, like, giving to other kids or just people in general?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
There's so much. Playing organized sports as an athlete, and I have this conversation with parents and other athletes and administrators. I think the coach, which I look at coaching, I'm not just a coach.
Right.
I'm a mentor. I'm a father figure. I'm an example. I'm a teacher. Because if you think about just with high school sports, as a coach, we spend 2 hours a day with an athlete. So that's 5 days a week, 2 hours, that's 10 hours a day.
Right.
The average kid spends maybe 30 minutes in a classroom with a teacher a day. And you're not going to see that teacher every day, depending on what school you go to and the type of class schedule that they have.
Right.
So on average, you may spend an hour and a half with a teacher, maybe, right? Or maybe an hour with a teacher in a week's time, right? Compared to a coach. Same thing with a parent. Parents not seeing the kid, they send the kid off to school in the morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. And maybe you pick the kid up in the afternoon after some type of practice. You come home, the kid eats dinner for an hour, maybe an hour and a half or two. The kid does their homework and they go to bed. So the time the kid spends with their parent, quality time, I'm talking about quality time, is again less than a couple hours.
Exactly.
So my point is, for an adult that has a lot of influence on a youth, a young person, a coach. And so for me, I think coaching is extremely important. It's an important role. It's an important person in a young person's life. And so there's so much to learn in playing organized sports. One, you have to learn how to work with others. Right? You got to learn to be a communicator. Right? Communication is effective. You got to be effective communicating anything you do in any sports.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm going to be over here. You're going to be over here. You learn how to be a leader. Not necessarily a vocal leader sometimes, but you can be a leader by action. Right? You have to learn how to follow instructions, how to learn, how to be coachable. How to persevere. You're going to face adversity. There's so many life lessons, things that help you outside of athletics that you learn in sports. And so for me as a coach, I like to bring in, all those things. One things that I say that it's a life model for me, but I share with all my athletes, is that it's a quote. If you meet any of my athletes that ever coached, they always say it and they'll laugh about it because I say it a million times. And I always say it's not the situation, it's how you deal with it. And the principle of that quote is simply that you're going to face adversity in your life, right? In every facet of it. When you deal with an adversity, it's not about the situation. Oh my God, I turned the ball over. Oh, I missed the game-winning shot, or I missed a route. The quarterback couldn't get it to me, or I didn't run my fastest. It's not that situation. It's not that. It's how you're gonna deal with it. Again, and when I say, okay, how are you gonna do this? Instead of being negative, be positive. Let's think about how we can improve our situation if we face that same thing again. Let's be calm. Let's be cool. Let's be collected. I always say the 3 C's: calm, cool, and collected. Because if we can address the situation that matter, we can find a solution in some situations. If it's immediate or it's for a future situation, we're maybe better able to deal with it. So those are some of the things that I use in terms of teaching and coaching. And how I look at it.
And honestly, I feel like that goes to show, if you kind of brought up again the physicality and the mentality of being an athlete and just like overall being a person in general. Like when you work on those two components and when they're good and they're strong, you are so much of a better person, an athlete, an individual, just like overall. And I think that kind of leads to the last question of, is there anything that you would say to your younger self? Like if you could look back now, and you are a father, you are a coach, you're an adult and an athlete. So is there anything that you would say to like your younger self?
That's a great question too. Just go after it all. What do you have to lose? Go after it all. And go after it all, giving everything you got, not listening to anybody that gave you information or fuel to doubt that you can achieve it. Because as an adult, I can look back and see that I could achieve different things if I maybe had some guidance, or if I maybe just had somebody say, hey, go ahead, try it. The other thing I would say is seek out advice, seek out a mentor. I didn't have a mentor, unfortunately. I had a basketball coach who I loved dearly, who passed away in '91, who was like a father to me. However, there were a lot of other people who I could have drew mentorship and guidance from, but I didn't have that. Contrary to my own personal situation now, one of the motivations for me coaching now is not only just to give back to my own children, but to help as many young athletes or professional athletes in terms of reaching where they're trying to go. And so it's important to have mentors, people in your life to guide you, wherever that is, even if it's just athletics or in life. And I always say, find somebody who's successful at what you want to be, and follow that. Follow that map. That's a map. That's a map, a roadmap to where you're trying to get. and you can always make it better.
Right.
But at least you have something to follow. But that's what I'd give advice to myself.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching. This should be the last video of the series. I appreciate all the help and support. And thank you, Coach Witt,
You're welcome. Thank you.
for your awesome advice and wisdom.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a nice one.